Here we have Ethereum versus the dollar, and we have a silver cross to the downside on the 5-day. I think the weekly is also looming as well, and I stick with the weekly target of down back around your January and February lows, which is between about 2,300 to as low as about 2,150 or so before the next sort of generalized bounce. So it is getting close here. It is certainly getting close, but again, do not confuse bounce with a reversal. There's nothing at all whatsoever defining a reversal here, especially as long as you're below like 3,200 on your higher term timeframes, or 3,300 for that matter. Until then, I do suspect that you probably got one more drive a little bit lower here, kind of similar to Bitcoin. You know, maybe it gets a wick down to 23 or maybe even a little bit lower than that in like a nasty liquidity event. And then I probably would be looking for a short-term bounce at least. We are starting to hit extremes here on 4-hour BBWP, but again, I want to see it hit extremes for a second time and then come below the moving average on this one. So, you know, does that happen today? Maybe, maybe not. Probably more so Tuesday to Wednesday, if I had to guess. And at that point, you know, you could see some corrective bounces into the mid 2000s or so. But for what it's worth right now, I still think that this one has lower to go. That hidden bearish divergence on the daily RSI certainly playing out, starting to get a little bit like egregious here. But daily BBWP saying that this move, you know, has more legs on it. So I do expect that there's more to go. Daily Jewel also showing another downside drive here as it just gets rejected exactly where you don't want to see it rejected. And if we go over here to our higher term time frame stochastic momentum, we will notice that the weekly, just like Bitcoin, is downsetting a little below about 3,100 with heavy downside momentum back into the bearish control zone. I should add 5-day, same thing, 3138 going to be the magical number, and daily is showing downside below 2635. So I think that we probably got one more drive here a little bit lower, probably bounces between 23 to 2150. Again, I know that's a major range, but it has to be that way because we are looking at, you know, we're very likely looking at a very volatile move here, and there's probably gonna be a nasty, or there very easily could be one of those nasty liquidation events. So in this case, I continue to look lower here. Higher term timeframes like a monthly, I think, are really starting to look quite nasty. But again, you know, you are kind of coming off of some major moving averages here, that being the monthly 21. So it's closer to a bounce than not. But I do expect that there's one more wick lower first, and then a very nasty game to play after that. The nasty game would be any sort of a weekly closure below basically 2,300. Any weekly closure below 2,300, and I will become egregiously bearish on this. Yeah, egregiously bearish on this, looking for like much greater corrections, at least 1,800 to 1,700. And I actually don't, I wouldn't just blindly call like a major macro low there. But that's only if you do close a weekly below about 2,300 or so, just below 2,300. Until then, short term, one more drive likely lower, and I'd be looking for extremes again on 4-hour BBWP. And at that point, probably have some bullish divergence drives building up, although as of right now, no, you don't, which is not great. But probably a bounce off the low side of the branch, at least a pity bounce, and then, you know, anything, especially below like 2,900, is just not relevant for the long term, let alone fucking 3,300 or so. So yeah, I think I'll leave that one right there. Quite nasty, and hopefully that was helpful.